I want to thank you so much for joining us. I'm Mark Schumacher, CEO of HFA, and of course, this is one of our weekly webinars. And as always, we're driving these subject matters based on your needs and what we're hearing from our membership. And we hear consistently about how do we manage, how do we work with social media and digital channels. And so we've assembled a panel today that's going to really take us down that path and answer a lot of the questions you have and really help you from the very beginning define your target market and then how to reach them. But before we get to introducing everybody, I just want to remind you about a couple little housekeeping items here. First and foremost, we record this and every one of our webinars. If you go to myhfa.org, you will find our library of these. This one will be posted later today, and it's a great resource for any subject that's going to help your business. Secondly, we also have on the right side of the screen, you're going to see that there's an ability to chat. If you want to send us a question, please do. It'll be forwarded. We'll do our best to get to it. And we just want to make sure that your voice is heard and that we're answering questions that you want to have answered. So with that said, let me introduce you to the gang here that we have assembled. We have Erica Hughes joining us. Erica is the digital media administrator for Kokonis Furniture in Zanesville, Ohio. Erica, it's good to have you here. We appreciate it. Also, Thomas Corrales is here. He's the CEO of Unlimited Furniture Group. He's coming to us from Brooklyn, New York, so he's up in the Northeast. And we also have Freddie Wright joining us from Roanoke, Virginia. He's digital director for Conquest Digital. And of course, they are a firm that really helps businesses connect digitally and have a great digital program. So we've got a really great cross-section here of differing expertise, if we say. So everybody, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. I want to get us started because there's so very much to talk about. And I always like to talk about sometimes about I don't mean to say negative, but really kind of starting out with asking the loaded question of, Eric, I'll start with you. What in your mind has been perhaps the biggest thing that you have seen in the last year or so that maybe was overlooked on the digital marketing side? You know, where are the misses been that have been like the light bulb went on and boy, now all of a sudden we've got a great opportunity here. What would you say has been the thing that's kind of come out of maybe a negative situation?
So obviously the pandemic hit us hard, and we took the opportunity to get our e-commerce website up and running at that time. It was a project that we had in the works, but when something like that happens, you have to be ready to just turn it on and roll with it and have a team of people available to assist those customers online. And that also went to our digital media as well, our social media channels. So we had to be available for live chats. We launched a live chat platform just because they wanted to know what was going on with their orders. They wanted to know they could continue to purchase from us. And we took that opportunity to really just turn our customer service over to a more digital centered platform, really. So yeah.
So I'm going to translate because I think that's a typical situation for so many of our retail members, is that there were so many of those areas that you were involved in, others you were on the edge of, and it accelerated everything. Wonderful answer. Thomas, what about you? Were there things you realized that were missing from sort of the arsenal here, and you had to really jump into quickly when it came to this pandemic environment?
Yeah, the big thing for us was having inventory, stocking up on inventory more than we ever were before. We found ourselves in a place where there was just no inventory aboard in any one brand. The demand was very high, and our infrastructure couldn't support stocking more inventory to meet the demand. So we had to build up infrastructure to be able to hold that inventory for future orders, because the demand is still at a very high peak.
Sure, and you don't want to be promoting things that are available when they're not. That's been the biggest trick, right? Is making sure that you're not disappointing the customer out of the gates. Freddie, let's start this overall conversation with this. We heard about the phrase defining your target market, and that seems like an obvious question. Yet every retailer is different. I can tell you that Unlimited is different than Kokonis. It's different from you can go on and on. So let's talk about that first. How does a retailer truly define their target market?
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's definitely something that can be tricky. You can watch the customers that come through your doors and you kind of get a feel for the customers that you're working with online, but then also as we talk about social, it could be a completely different audience on your website than what's coming through the door or on social. So one of the tools that we like to point to is Facebook Insights. And that's a lot of tools, a lot of retailers don't realize that that's available. So it's kind of like a Google Analytics for your Facebook page. It can tell you when people are coming to your site, what demographics they are, where they're coming from. It helps you to kind of target in a little bit more on that demographic that you should be reaching online. So.
Do you think it's fair to say that maybe a lot of retailers don't truly know, that it's a little bit anecdotal? Like you said, you get an idea about who's coming through the front door, but do you do that at your own peril? Do you really need to dig in a little bit better to truly define it so you don't miss anything?
Absolutely. I think digging in is what it's all about. And then as we talk about social, you'll probably hear me mention this again, but Facebook Insights will help you to really target the content that you're putting out to that person who's coming to you on social. Makes your social even more effective.
Erica,
do you know who your target market is? Do you feel like you guys have a pretty good picture?
Yeah, so our target audience, we do a very similar thing. We know we've been in business for 94 years and we are very connected to our community. So we are always looking at who's walking through our doors. That's step one, is and figuring out who those buyers are, who are your raving fans and those who you want to invest in and duplicate, really. So we always take the opportunity to find out who those people are that are coming to our friends and family events, who are talking about us, who are sending referrals in, and really assessing who that person is, but also taking those insights that we're seeing on our analytics of whatever platform we're on and seeing if we're, just like Freddie said, you may have an audience that you weren't even aware of, or somebody that's potentially could bring more value to you than what you realize. So yeah, we try to have a good handle on that and focus on those who are walking through our doors.
I think you just said something really key there, and that is that, yeah, you've been in business 94 years, which is an amazing thing to be able to say, but it doesn't mean that your audience isn't changing.
Correct.
Thomas, what have you guys seen as far as the whole concept of that target market? How do you figure it out, first of all? And second of all, have you learned anything new about the people that you're selling to?
So for us, we kind of take a different approach. We kind of like reverse what was said by Eric and Freddie. So we speak to our salespeople and our customers, and we look at our product, and then we decide who we think that customer is, and we look to market to that customer based on the price and the style. So we know what people might look using that same insights from Facebook Insights. We know who that customer is, and we kind of market to them directly based on that algorithm of price and style.
But driven by, and you said something really key there, driven by insights you're getting from your people on the floor.
Correct. We speak to our sales team and our design staff, tells us what the customers are saying firsthand in terms of what the price is and what they're looking for. And then we adapt our business to reflect off of that.
Okay, that's going to be, I'm going to predict something that by the end of this webinar, that's going to be one of our takeaways, because that's really something else. Relying on, think about that. And Freddie, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make sure that you guys don't get more business. But you don't, before you reach out to somebody outside, you have all these resources right in front of you. Get a feel for that. I love that. You guys are reading your team to really understand, what that's looking like. And Freddie, I'm assuming that if somebody came to ask for your expertise, having that knowledge that Thomas has is gold, correct?
Certainly, yes. That's a great place to start. We can target in on exactly that person that Thomas and his sales team know about and that come into the stores. Then from there, we have some tools that could do like artificial intelligence and start to learn about that audience and reach more people that look like them. So we could go either way, for sure.
Okay, I love that. So, all right, so we know what our target market is, at least what the segments of it look like. So now, the one thing I don't like about the term social media is because it throws everything into one bucket. And we know that every channel is super, super different. So Eric, I'm going to start with you. So you know very well your target market from your history of your company, as well as the things you're learning. So how do you attack it? What have you seen has been the successful channels and why those channels?
So specifically when you think of social media, regardless, and this is just some advice to someone who's maybe getting started on social media or doesn't know where to
Mhm.
start. Facebook, always, everybody's on Facebook, and whether or not you do Instagram, Pinterest, or any other social media based channels that are defined as social media, always start with Facebook and give that your time. And that would, that allows you to get more insights into what maybe other channels they're on as well.
Okay.
But really, yeah, that's going to be your primary one if you're putting all your efforts into at least one social media platform. That's the one you want to start with.
So take us a little bit deeper though. So it takes a little bit deeper. So you plant your flag on Facebook, and then how does it sort of play out from there for you guys when it comes to what you learn there and what you do as far as some of the other channels are concerned?
So we see what customers are engaging with, or visitors are engaging with, what post resonates with them, what content they're liking. The nice thing is Instagram and Facebook, it's very easy to push the content out on Instagram. So if you don't have the time to duplicate or to create curated content just for Instagram, you can actually just kind of push that on just so you're not missing those who maybe are spending more time on Instagram. Same with Pinterest and Houzz and some other platforms. It's always really good to get your name out there. You always want to verify and claim your own pages there, regardless of how much activity you're actually spending on those accounts. But always spend your time on that Facebook just to get an idea of what your audience is looking for, what styles they're interested in, how they're engaging with you, and sometimes that alone gives you some insights into maybe what other direction to pursue possibly.
Okay. So Thomas, how do you guys, once you get now that you know what your target market is, so how do you attack it as far as the social and digital channels are concerned?
For us, when we started in social maybe 2 or 3 years ago, we're a very small company, so we didn't have a lot of resources. So we just identified what social media channel, we just had to choose one that would best resemble the audience that we were going after. And we collectively came together as a team and decided that Instagram was that location to inspire, because we sell luxury high-end goods. So, and we looked at Twitter, we looked at Pinterest, we looked at Facebook, and we said, we think our audience, based on the price point and the style that we have, is going to be Instagram. So we put all of our resources into just one channel to see if we can get some success from it. And we basically narrowed down our audience to very wealthy customers, celebrities, and people who could afford our high-end glam look. And we just started to inspire them with photos. The best photos that we can have, we can find, we made them, we created them, we put it out there, and just hopes that people would like it. And everybody loved it, but nobody could afford it. So we're like, okay, how do you make sales from it? Yeah, great, they like it, it's awesome. How do you make money? So then we scratched our head a little bit. We were trying to figure out, how do we get to the real customers who can afford these luxury goods? So we kind of reversed the math and we identified who those clients are. So we just had our team put together a list of who you think would buy our product. And there was a board in our office and everybody put LeBron James and, Kobe Bryant, and we're like, oh, okay, that's great. They're not going to look at our posts. So their feeds are full of, a bunch of stuff, people trying to reach out to them. So we decided as a group, within their family or friends, there's probably somebody normal, like everybody here on this call, that's not a celebrity, that's not a multimillionaire. So we started to basically find those people within the actual target client, which is LeBron James. And we decided, he's not making the buying decision anyway. It's probably his wife. So within his wife, who there can we talk to, can we communicate with, can we engage with, on just the hopes that the message would make its way to the ideal candidate. And that strategy was a very far-fetched one, but it's what got us to where we are today. And then we started to resemble sales, because once we would get the real influencer to follow us and to engage from organically from their family or friend who might have liked the product or liked the post. Then they would identify, they would ask for a price. We would give them a price. They would put their hands back and say, no, this is not for us. And they would indirectly, give it to somebody within their circle that can afford it. And that person would think they found us organically, which they didn't, but in theory, they think they did. And that spread, and we just try to scale that in terms of, we had a big board and put all these names on there, and everybody in the team would go after one of those names, and we would comment, happy birthday, how are you? That's all we did.
Wow.
And that's how we grew up traffic.
To speak into that, I think that's a really great strategy too, because you want they call it your ideal customer avatar in the marketing world. And so when you're thinking about your ideal customer, for us, we're in more of a local community. We have some rural areas on the outskirts of us, but we're family-based. Majority of people we're in single family homes that have kids and married, and so they like the cozy farmhouse, just really quaint, just family oriented things. And so when we're looking at those people, we may name a woman and say that this is probably the person who's making the buying decision is a woman. And so what's she doing? How many kids does she have? What's she doing in her free time? And you want to know that so you know where to be for her to see what you're putting out there, and then resonating what you're buying on the floor. When you have good buyers and people who are picking out products and ones that your community is buying, you can then curate that toward that ideal customer, or when in doubt, just go with what's on your floor and figure out how you can market that in a clever way that makes the person viewing it want that in their home and envision it in their home.
Yeah, the interesting thing that is kind of a thread through what both of you just said, and Freddie, I want you to speak to this, is that this is not just sort of a set it and forget it. This isn't just saying, hey, we put something out on Facebook or Instagram. We're really digital marketing. Both of these perfect examples with Unlimited and with Kokonas have basically said that's the starting point. That's the pebble in the pond. But they've also got plans for how everything they learn, they take to the next level. Talk about how important that is to truly manage this, because it isn't just add water and it grows.
Right. There were some things that both Thomas and Erica said that I wanted to bring back up. So I think hearing both of the approaches that you guys took was absolutely, you have to think about it from your customer perspective. So hearing that, kudos to both of you. Speaking kind of in general terms, what we see, research shows, Facebook is king. No matter how many social medias come out, Facebook is still king. So internet usage last year was up 70%. And that being said, 20 minutes is spent on Facebook. Average nationally is about 11 minutes on Instagram. So those are your top two, most definitely. So definitely the places to be. Like you were saying, Mark, not just going after one strategy and then sticking with it, though. You have to continually look at those things. And again, I'll come back to insights. That's something that I encourage everybody to take a look at on Facebook. It helps you to really know how that content is being consumed and who's engaging with it and what they like, whether they like the photos or the videos like Thomas was mentioning, or whether it's, just a post about something community related that Erica mentioned. Every community is different. So definitely take advantage of that tool.
I'm just bummed that since Thomas's business is all about glam, I never got contacted. Anyway, I'm not glad. You can tell I'm not glad. I'm just trying to see if you're paying attention, Thomas. So with that said, and you've now delved out there, Thomas, have you guys gone beyond Instagram? Are you staying there, or have these insights helped you move to others? I'm just kind of curious.
We haven't moved really to any other platform besides Instagram, because we still think there's so much potential to be had there.
Okay.
And we're still struggling with getting more marketing people in our organization to focus on the other channels.
Okay, but and appreciate that candor. But you know, there's something to be said for the fact that if something is working, or at least you feel like you got traction to, you know, to stick with that. I'm curious about, and there's a couple, we've gotten a number of really great questions in, and I don't want to definitely ignore these things. Let me ask Freddie real quick, is you talked about Facebook being number one, Instagram also very popular. Are there other, you know, channels that you think are built for the furniture industry in particular? I mean, when I think about Pinterest, you know, you think about it so photographically driven. You know, what are some of the channels that you think fit our industry best, not just you know, commerce as a whole?
Right. I think seeing the product, like Thomas was mentioning, is what people love, envisioning it in their home. So that Pinterest just inspiring the buyer, you know, the females love Pinterest. So I think that is a good one for our industry. Absolutely. Those would be my top three, though. There are a lot of others out there, but I would say of all of them, those are the three where you should be spending your time.
All right. And I want to remind people, by the way, that have just tuned in, if you will, that we are talking about social media and digital marketing with three people that really know their stuff. Erica Hughes is with Kokonis Furniture, Thomas Corrales is with Unlimited Furniture, and Freddie Wright is with Conquest Digital. Okay, let me ask this one then, and I'll start with Erica. Erica, how do you then, with your social media presence, how do you drive people to the website? How do you drive them to the store to increase sales? Because I mean, obviously that's number one in this whole thing. We got to, you know, increase the bottom line. So what have you found has been successful ways that you've translated that social media presence into sales?
Well, for one is finding a way to direct them to your site by using links to your site and having those call to actions. Anytime you're mentioning a sale, if you don't know if that customer even knows who you are sometimes, if you're doing maybe like a blanket sale. So you'll want to show them where your store locations are and give them like a little sneak peek in there. One thing that has been very helpful too is people want that trust. They want to, nowadays, they're only shopping 1 or 2 stores maximum. So they're scoping you out online before they've even made the decision about walking into your store. So what we want to do is build the trust, build the brand, and make those potential buyers curious if they're not familiar with us about coming into our store and having that decision made before they even walk in. So what we like to do is we like to show people on our social media. So it builds that sense of trust and authenticity, especially in the communities that we're in. We show our employees, we have testimonials that we have on there. It just, anytime you can get that, it makes a huge difference. Even during the pandemic, one of the best things that we did was we did virtual sales on our Facebook page, almost like live auctions, and we did that on a regular basis. And we walked around, we talked on camera, and we were able to have a couple of sales people within our stores who could take orders over the phone. And so it's, I think that alone is, you have to look at it from a brand level about like who you are and really know who you are, and then work that way and get in front of the right people who will be walking in your doors from there.
Gotcha. And no, I think it's great. You're kind of meeting them where they are in a lot of instances. Thomas, with your, I'm gonna guess here, it sounds to me like your driver is really that staff. It sounds like, but I mean, am I wrong, or are you taking those leads you're getting from your Instagram push and you know, really transacting them differently? How are you guys driving sales based upon what your social media channel is doing?
Sure. I mean, for us, for Instagram, we didn't have the capability of using links. Instagram didn't allow us to link out a post to a direct listing on the website. So we partnered with a software that allowed us to create a unique URL within our profile. And that link is basically, there's a lot of companies that offer this type of software. It's just a mirror image of our social media, which allows us to gather customer information. So we don't give pricing on social media. So everything is a get quote. So basically they would click that shoppable link. Right. They would put their phone number and email. It would go into our CRM, and our CRM would gather that email and phone number and a geolocation of where they are, so we know what's working in what area. Okay. And then our sales team would come in the morning and start responding, creating email sequences to follow up and to nurture that lead as much as they can.
And just really quickly, are you guys fully transactional online, Thomas?
We are, yes.
Okay, and Erica, what about Kokonis? Are you guys also fully transactional online?
We are, yes.
Okay, good. It's good to know that. I want to just really quickly point out something that Erica said, and Freddie, this I thought was interesting. Customers might not know who you are. Is that in itself a nugget of gold from the standpoint of never in a social media post, even if it's a lot of them are really short, not assuming that they know who you are? I mean, is that something that's important as far as from an identity and a branding standpoint?
To always tell your story. Absolutely. Yeah, I kind of perked up when I heard Erica say that, actually. Something else that I was going to add to that, though, and I know one of the questions that we had talked about getting to is kind of, is it important to have followers? So, it is, but the Facebook algorithm is such that only 2% of people who like you on Facebook will ever see that Facebook post. Facebook has basically caused people to have to pay to play. But that being said, when you're reaching those people, you never know who that 2% is. So to continue to put the name in there, give them an opportunity. People love people. So to see people in social media content, engaging with the product, kind of being transparent. We encourage people whenever they have the opportunity to do a Facebook Live or just go on the showroom floor, exactly what Kokonis did, and show them everything that's available. Be very transparent. So I think always coming back to that and just acting as though that potential customer knows nothing about you. Definitely.
Yeah, because that assumption could be deadly. You could have the best sales pitch in the world, and they just don't know how to get to you or who you are. We've got a number of great. What's up, sorry, Erica? Go ahead. No, go ahead.
When you're and also when you're marketing on your social media, make sure you're doing it for your people. Don't do it because come at it from their point of view. Don't just put something on there because you like it, I guess. Come at it like, why am I doing this? Always start with why. You should do that when you're doing marketing anyway. Why am I doing this? Even when you're doing just a single post or a campaign of any kind, it plays into the strategy of it, really. It's why are you doing this in the first place? Of course, we want sales, we want buyers, but we want to make sure that we're getting, you just want to make sure that you're not just throwing something out there and hoping that you're going to market to everybody, when really, if you're not targeted and strategic, you may be marketing to nobody, unfortunately.
Gotcha. You're talking to yourself, as they say. I want to get to a number of questions or comments here. This is interesting. One of our attendees, who's a retailer, said that they received an email from Facebook stating that Apple's upcoming new iOS release is going to dramatically impact Facebook advertising. Anybody on this group know about that and can comment, or is that something we need to follow up on after the fact?
Oh, I have a few things I could share. So
sure, please.
That Apple iOS update is supposed to come in late spring. That's the latest update. Essentially, as far as advertising goes, what it's going to limit, as far as we know, is the conversion point. So after someone has served an ad, traditionally, we're able to follow that person and see when they convert, when they come to the website, or if they make, in some cases, what's called a view through. So they see the ad, they don't click on it, but then later in the coming weeks, they Google that business and land on the website. So as best as we can tell, one of the things that might be affected is that length of time when we're able to continue tracking that person. So at this point, what we've been told is it's going to be narrowed to a 7-day window. So we'll only be able to track that person after they see a Facebook ad for the next week, 7 days. It used to be a lot longer than that, but Facebook is cutting it back.
So in other words, anybody who's really utilizing Facebook is going to have to jump on these leads much more quickly from the standpoint of the tracking piece of it than before. I mean, that's pretty obvious. Okay, well, that's a huge takeaway for everybody to know, to be looking for that. And you said late spring is when that's expected?
Late spring is what they're saying, yes.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you for that very much, Freddie. We appreciate that. A couple of other things here. So let's throw this out. I'll throw this one out to you, Thomas. We get, again, a lot of great questions coming in. How do you measure the ROI of your Instagram? I'm not even just going to say social media, since you guys are Instagram focused. How do you measure your ROI on Instagram?
Currently, we measure it for sales. So we don't really spend much money. We don't pay to play. We look at it as we could use our audience and our customers to build awareness. we go out there and network, and the first thing our team presents is a social media. Hey, what platform do you have? This is what we do. Take a look at our social. Follow me, I'll follow you, and that speaks volumes to what we've been doing. So in terms of return on investment, we look at conversion, dollars. So as long as we're converting in terms of revenue from those posts and from that engagement and the referral that comes from that, which is hard to measure, but a lot of referral business comes from, when you do get a celebrity to follow you or somebody's following you and they post something or they spread something, a lot comes from that. It's hard to measure the return on investment there. You really have to have a really good system behind it to measure, to make sure you know where that lead came from, so you can give the ROI to the proper source. So,
and what do you feel like? I mean, give us an idea. What percentage of your sales are online, and of that, how much do you think is driven by social media? I mean, I'm not going to hold you to this, but I'm just kind of curious about it, I guess, to give the audience an idea.
The first year, in 2017, we had $1 million on just Instagram. $1 million in revenue just from Instagram alone, with zero ad spend.
Okay. Okay. That's that everybody just, you notice everybody, all the other boxes, everybody stopped on that one. So I mean, phenomenal starting point. How did you see that play out in the pandemic after you'd had obviously a couple of years to build this? Was this something you could really rely on during the pandemic as well?
So as soon as the pandemic hit, we weren't thinking social media. We were actually thinking more e-commerce.
Okay.
So all of our focus went to our e-commerce channel. So that's where our resources have been for the last couple months, and that channel is outperforming social by 10 to 1.
Oh, gotcha. And I mean, but social should be a vehicle to getting people there. And I mean, I get that part. But Erica, let me ask you that. How do you at Kokonas, how do you guys measure the ROI of what you're dealing with on the social media side of things?
So social media, we treat it more like branding, and we want to make sure we're having a really good presence online. That's how we really see it with our social media. So when we're doing ROI, it could be as simple as just taking a look at the post, seeing what kind of insights that post is giving us, whether it's how engaging is it, what are people doing with it, are they reacting to it, commenting, are they sharing it, tagging people, and from there, we do a lot of clearance posts because people love good deals. So that's what we use on our social media a lot, is deals of the day, quick call to action, sense of urgency, and we listen to what our salespeople are telling us. Usually they'll come in, they say, I saw this on Facebook, and then they'll buy it. So we see it more post for post and item per item, more so than we are looking at the whole picture, because we see this as just another channel into our whole marketing funnel and just getting people in the door. So for us, post to post, yeah.
Fair enough. So Freddie, how should, for those that are listening in and wanting to know more, how should they set up their ROI? What should they be looking for to say, yes, this is successful, or no, it's not? Or are there some tried and true ways they can do that?
I think it's custom to every single business, as we would talk to Thomas's business or Erica's business. It's, as we've already found out, they're both in two different arenas, basically, two different customers. So what I would say is, at this point, we should start to look at Google Analytics. So on a tool like Google Analytics, you can see where the website traffic is coming from. So it outlines what social media is getting the most clicks to your website. And I think that is huge in just helping us to realize what is working and where we should invest more time.
Fair enough. Very good takeaway. I want to remind people that we are talking about digital marketing with our three guests: Erica Hughes of Kokonas Furniture, Thomas Corrales with Unlimited Furniture, and with Freddie Wright with Conquest Digital. Let's get some more questions. This is clearly a subject that really matters to a lot of people. So let's start. I'll kind of go in a different order here. Erica, let me start with you. What information do you include on posts? And that would include like hashtags, things like that. Do you have specific things that you always make sure that you want to have in that content coming from Kokonas?
I wouldn't say there's anything completely consistent for every single post. It just really depends if we use hashtags or not. We just really go in with really good copywriting That's one thing we do. We curate our words, we paint a picture, and we think about what the intent of that post is. Always post for post, the content may be different, but the copywriting is huge for us.
Is there content you think is better for engaging customers than others? I mean, is there a style, or is it just so dependent upon, post to post to post?
Well, honestly, the most engaging content are giveaways. People like free, and it probably isn't a surprise to a lot of people who are doing social media marketing that when you do a giveaway, you're going to get a lot of response, a lot of people who are interested. We actually see that instead of just, oh, we're giving something away, what are we getting out of this is we're getting good public relations. Right now we have a Valentine's Day giveaway on our page, and that alone has given us really good public relations from people who bought from us before. They're telling us stories that of purchases they made from us or experiences that they've had there. So never underestimate the power of a giveaway. Don't just see it as just a freebie and like, okay, they're going to come in and spend that gift certificate and be done. There's a lot more that lives on your social media page from that. So giveaways and deals of the day, clearance, and then know what styles like farmhouse style is really popular for our area. So whenever we are wanting to post something, we know that is kind of our go-to look when we are coming up with content for, say, the products that we're putting on the page.
But Freddie, even, and I get what Eric is saying, but even with, quote unquote giveaways and promotions, you still have to make sure you deliver on the other end. If you don't, you can have the best, promotion that gets people's attentions, but if you can't really carry that through to the rest of the website, the rest of the transaction, I mean, would this be a cautionary tale to say make sure that you can deliver?
Yes, but I think in addition to everything else that Kokonas, that might help them to get fans, I would think, engage with that new audience. And then once you have them, you want to continue to stay with them and capture them. I'll add to your original question, what content works. We find that overwhelmingly video always works better than anything else. So any type of video that you can put up, any type of visual, even if you can't do a video, just a still shot, some type of content like that always works best. And thinking about social channels, Facebook actually prioritizes those posts with a video. So anytime you can get that out there, definitely do so.
Okay. Thomas, tell us your approach too when it comes to the content that you think works the best, or the things that you include on posts.
Sure. I like to agree with Freddie that video is a huge component. It gets a lot of engagement. In the early stages, we thought we had to put the most luxurious room scene. It had to look perfect. And we thought that's what our customers wanted to see. And then we randomly put some factory photos of the production of a sofa and really ugly. And that got more engagement than any nice photo. So we were like, wait, we didn't even know do they really care to see a factory floor? And the audience was telling us, it created a realism for the audience. So they realized that not everybody's home looks as nice as a propped up photo. And the video created a realism to our brand that we are real and we do make things from scratch, and they resonated with us better. So it was very hard to pick and choose what content produces, but just connecting and creating a realism about that content, we noticed could go a long way.
There's something very authentic about that. And the thing, and please feel free to disagree with me, but this has been something I've been preaching for a long time, is with the advent of the smartphone, we are used to on a daily basis, and I mean anybody listening to this, you're used to on a daily basis looking at feeds for whatever social media channel we're talking about, and you look at homegrown videos that people have shot. And I think as a buying public, we've become used to non-professionally shot video. I think we're okay with that. It doesn't have to be the most perfect lighting and that sort of thing. It just has to tell a story. And Thomas, you just said that right out of the gates there. That's the thing that I think is interesting. So Freddie and pull me back if I'm wrong here, but I'm almost thinking when it comes to that video, it's just don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be perfection, or am I just taking people down the wrong path here?
Oh, you're
Help me
spot
out.
on. You're spot on. To produce something with your cell phone usually gets great engagement. Even now, the last 11 months have taught us, as we're all, in our home offices and stuff, to even film something on Zoom, if that's what it comes down to, kind of like what we're doing now. It's fine to post something of that nature. People can relate to it now. So I think these past 11 months have definitely, made us realize that even more. It doesn't have to be professional, well-lit stuff.
Gotcha. And Thomas, I keep going out of order here, but I'm just kind of going where I know we've talked about things. Let me ask you a question. You talked about sourcing a lot of your, your content or thoughts for this, and identifying your target market by your team. And you also talked about, I want you to go a little bit further here. How do they then engage with these posts? I know you talked about that they do, but I want to know the method there so that people that are out there thinking about it can think about ways to include their sales team in responding sometimes, I guess, or engaging people based upon these posts. Give us a little bit more to that.
Sure. So like I said earlier, we had a list on our like a whiteboard, a list of the customers that we were going after. And every day we would divide that list to certain team members whose job was to figure out who within that a family was normal that we can market to, comment on. Every time they posted something, we would like it. So that's what our team did in terms of driving engagement. And they realized
let me ask you a quick question though. Do they then own it? Is my question here. So if one of your team members responds to one thing, do you want that consistency of them then monitoring that traffic? How do you make sure that it's not 5 people going after the same thing? Is kind of my thing. So that other retailers out there can understand how you sort of make this work.
All right, so everything is we try to drive them to the shop link that we have in our profile. From that shop link, we're able to manage the leads. We call them leads that come from social media. That's for a customer who's inquired about a product. So that's where then we can segment them to what salesperson would get what per day. That's how we would handle the leads. But in terms of like in communicating on the platform to comments and engagement, we would have one dedicated person that would make sure that we like every single comment that came into a post, because that engagement, builds up the post. I guess it's the algorithm within Instagram that helps drive up that to be seen by more people. So the more they see engagement and comments and communication, the more likely that post is to be seen by a larger audience.
I just love that thought though, that you do have somebody dedicated to it. So there's a real purpose there. Erica, what about y'all? Do you have specific ways or people that respond to certain things, or how do you manage that piece of it?
So we have a social media manager who her primary job outside of creating the content for us is to engage with those customers, be quick to respond to those comments, get whatever needs to be done to the right person if it's something related outside of that particular post. So she's our designated person for that. She manages our reviews and other interactions that people are giving us online. And then we also, kind of outside of social media, but also tied into it, we have live chat, which also is integrated with our social media channels. And so we actually have a live chat agent who manages those as well. But just staying on top of it and responding as fast as you can and making sure someone's always available to reach out to those comments that are being left. That's the most important thing.
So Freddie, what are the best practices for this? Because, look, it's like any lead. The last thing you want to do is be handed something golden. Maybe it's one of the key people that Thomas is talking about that responds. Somebody connected to somebody key like that. If you fumble the ball, then you've wasted all your time. So what are the best practices to really manage that, and how you do that internally?
I think it's unique for every business, but I think both Thomas and Erica hit on something in that no matter what it is, if it's a true lead and they want to buy something then and there, or if it's kind of this long-term phase where you've got them hooked with kind of a contest giveaway and they're letting you know how thankful they are, and then from there, further down the line, they will become a customer. Just responding, like both Thomas and Erica said, to every single thing in public is worthwhile. Liking it, yes, but also if there's a comment that goes up, be sure to respond to them on the public front. Know when it's best to take something offline. Some conversations could go a direction we don't want them to on social media. So know when it's appropriate
yes.
to a direct message, sure. But responding in public definitely lets people know, and it says something strong about your customer service. So great practice to do there is respond to every single thing.
And to build on that
Yeah.
too, come up with a cookie cutter response for every single thing, even if it's a negative experience that person's having online. Don't say, hi, thanks for reaching out, sorry about your experience. It sounds very insincere, and they can tell that it's just a cookie cutter response. So take the time, be empathetic, put yourself in that customer's shoes. We've all had bad customer experiences at one point or another, and just letting them know that we really are there for them. And if it comes down to it, our social media manager, she goes out of her way to personally get that in the hands of the person, and she follows up to make sure it's taken care of. She takes it on herself that customer is getting taken care of. So,
Well, and Thomas used the word a few minutes ago. What you're talking about, Eric, is be authentic.
yeah.
Again, we got to remind people that you're putting this out there, and this is your brand. This is building your brand. And if you want a brand that's robotic, if you want a brand that is canned, then do that. But if not, you got to show your personality. So this is where the rubber meets the road, though. And this is the most common question that we ask ourselves internally at HFA with our digital marketing, and that I know you all have. And Freddie, you get asked this all the time. So talk to me about cadence, because if you're not careful, you become noise that people tune out. So Freddie, I'm going to start with you. Are there some parameters or ideas that you can give people, regardless of the channel, what their frequency should be in posts and things of that sort, without it being overbearing?
I think everything we're talking about, of course, is super important, but like you said, you don't want to do too much. So, a couple posts a day, I think, is plenty. Social media, it's free. We have great audiences out there. A lot of people are looking and listening to us, so absolutely we should use it. I don't know that there's a right answer for every single business. I would bring up again something we talked about, that Facebook Insights tool, because it allows us to see what is getting us the most engagement for each of our unique businesses. And then from there, we can replicate and start to do some more of that stuff.
So if you see a positive spike or going the other way, then to augment your behavior. Thomas, what about y'all? Do you do you have a sort of a planned out cadence for posting, or is it a little more organic than that?
In the early stages, it was more organic. We gave the team free rein to do what they thought was working. Now we kind of systemize it to 1 to 2 posts a day. Not that that's the right answer by any means, because there's a pay-to-play model out there now. So there's a lot of businesses that the more content they put out there, they look at it. Most companies are looking at it as a garbage dump. There's so much content. So the more you just keep dumping, you'll eventually catch something. So again, you got to look at the analytics and see if your audience are dropping off, or they don't like it, or they're commenting. So just engage with the audience, but there's no real right answer that I can give here.
The only reason I'm chuckling is because you're just really breaking it down to language I can understand. It's a garbage dump. You don't want to be throwing it on the heap. No, but you know what? But that's you're so right. I mean, this is the thing. There's a fine line, right? If you, I don't know how many, have you ever had some entity that you have just stopped following because you're just like, enough already? There's that part of it. But Freddie, here's the other thing I want you to talk about, and Thomas just hit on it, and Erica did too. So if you have that, let's say it's 2 a day, you do get kind of a get out of jail free card if you have something big come up and you've got 5 in one day. So that stands out as long as you're not ramping that up. So talk a little bit about that too, because it's okay to really jump in feet first with more content if it's necessary. So talk a little bit about that, because I think aren't we trying to build a trust factor with this audience, and so that they know that they need to listen or pay attention to what we're putting out there?
For sure. And I think as social media managers and people who take care of this, when that sweet spot hits and kind of when you went overboard there, for sure. You can tell when the engagement drops off. I'll go back to that algorithm where Facebook, 2% of people who follow you ever see your posts. So you never know what 2% it is. So in the morning, your post might be seen by one population, and in the evening, a different one. Another thing to do again, back to insights and analytics, is you can see what time people are engaging with your posts. So to be able to make those posts at that certain time when you have the most eyes on your brand definitely is a good thing to do.
Erica, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so when it comes to deciding how much you should post, there, just like you said, you got to hit a sweet spot to where you're not annoying people, but you don't want to be irrelevant either to them or something they're not thinking about either. So use those insights, make sure that you're getting, even if you're doing one post a day, get in front of where a majority of your people are usually. So if it's 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, make your posts for that time. Even if for some reason, say you're a business owner, you don't have a social media manager, and you're doing this on your own, every other day even, don't, and there's a fine line there. You want to make sure you're not just posting something just to post it. You still want to make sure that there's a purpose behind it. So yeah, so you'll find that sweet spot. Just keep an eye on those insights. See if people are following you, liking you, if the engagement rates are dropping or if they're increasing. Just pay close attention on that.
As you know, we're winding down here, and I want to ask one kind of final overall question before we get into takeaways and things like that. So give us, and I'll start, Thomas, with you. Give us your favorite example of a social media post that just worked super well. Give me that one that when you're talking to somebody, you're going to be like, you're like going, man, let me tell you about this that happened. What's that story for y'all?
I'm thinking about it. I like to say that, I mean, there's probably a couple that come to mind. There's one that was a chandelier installation video. Nothing too special. It was, we were just installed a chandelier in a local customer's home. It had a lot of crystals on it. It looked really nice, and it got up to like 100,000 or plus views, and we were like, we didn't understand why. We didn't get it. What was so special about that post? What caught steam? Why was it so popular? And it was amazing. And,
wow.
And then there's like exclusive product posts that, the product is very different and unique, and it's just shared amongst a lot of people because of how unique the product is. It inspires others to share it because of how cool and innovative it is.
I think the thing that I just love about what you said is that all the best laid plans, everything, you put it out there, and then it's that out of the blue something that you're like,
Yeah.
what the heck just happened? I mean, that's incredible. Erica, what about you? Are there one of those one or two that you're just like, oh man, that was the magic sauce, and we want to recreate that if we can?
So it's funny, as he was saying that, one of our most recent posts that had the best engagement was a Murphy bed post of us of opening it, showing how it works, and closing it back up again. That is what people engaged with. And so when he's talking about the chandelier installation, it's like, okay, this is not a top category of ours. It's a Murphy bed, but people loved it.
Yeah, just when we think we're the most sophisticated animals on the planet,
Yeah.
we do things like that, and we're just like, did you see this Murphy bed open and close? Holy, this is awesome. No, but I love that. But again, we're pulling little nuggets out of here because it's the things that people could see and something different and look at and enjoy. Freddie, I want to ask you, what are some of the things you've seen that have been those surprises or those type of posts that have just been like, man, that's been spectacular?
So I think mine falls in line with what the other guys were saying, those unique things. So mine that I would talk about is a table that expands. So it goes from being a sitting for 6 or 7, and it just expands. And this is a video that was filmed. It was about a 30-second video. We just sped it up. And the number of times this video has been watched and engaged with and shared, it's just, wow. Something that you would have never thought, but just, again, it's unique, and people love different, I guess.
There you go. I love that. Unique is a huge selling point. There's no doubt about that. Well, I want to. We got to. I tell people that if you can walk away from one of our webinars with 2 nuggets, then we've done our job. We've got a bunch today, but before I get into those final takeaways, I just want to just briefly take a moment to talk about the power of membership, because these types of conversations, these types of elements that we can provide are huge. And we create a community that truly drives our industry's success. And it's really important to point out that 100 years ago, a little more than 100 years ago, when this association was founded, community was one of the pillars it was founded on, and it's one of our pillars today. It's so important, bringing retailers together. And we have more than 1,400 now and 60 retail members. And we just love to bring you together. This conversation today, you can see how we've all played off each other and come up with some amazing things. So there's one of the many reasons to become a part of the Home Furnishings Association. And it's easy for you to learn more about that, just myhfa.org, and we can tell you more. But let's talk about the takeaways today. And you three have just really caused carpal tunnel for our team because they've had to type so much stuff here. So here you go. The key takeaways today. The profile of your customer may vary from brick and mortar location to your website to your social channels and can change over time. So be mindful of the fact that it's not static. And each of these professionals we've talked to here today are continually looking at ways to nuance that and change it. Facebook Insights, boy, this has come up 10 times in this hour, is a powerful tool to help analyze and understand those who are visiting your business's page, what's working and what isn't. If you're on Facebook and you're not at least figuring out the analytics through Facebook Analytics, then you might be wasting your time. Don't. Utilize your staff that interacts directly with customers to capture qualitative data about their interests. Also, it's important. I love that. You talked about how sometimes you pair them up and they follow a certain thread, or you get your team involved. You've got some great people right in your store. It might even be you that can really help to manage that. There's more takeaways. A social strategy cannot be set and forgot. You must continually monitor and adjust your approach. You can't just set it and forget it. You've got to make sure that you're on top of it. Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest are the top 3 social platforms in that order where your business should focus its efforts. We're not basing that on playing favorites. This is just the data, and we know that that's the case. And Facebook is still huge, even though people like me have made it completely uncool for our children. But that's a story for another day. And also utilize Google Analytics to understand which social platforms are driving the most traffic to your website. The huge point of social media is to drive business. This is great. So Google Analytics paired with Facebook Analytics can really help you track where your leads are coming from, where the people are coming from on your website. And also, visual content works best to connect with consumers in Facebook. They'll prioritize your posts with featured video, and the video content does not need to be professionally produced, and it doesn't have to be rocket science. It can be a table expanding. It could be a Murphy bed opening and closing. It could be the hanging of a chandelier. Those are the top posts we just talked about on this program. So if you think that you got to come up with something really crazy, no, you don't. I want to point out, by the way, that Eric is with Kokonis Furniture, and they incorporate visual of its customers and team members in its social posts to increase their authenticity. So it's really about figuring out what that customer looks like and appealing to that customer. And both Unlimited, Thomas's company, and Kokonis have dedicated team members focused on engaging social users on their platforms. That keeps it authentic as well. And I would suggest to you guys, and we got just another minute here, tell me real quickly, does that also not help to motivate your sales team when they know that you're giving them the ability to interact with a customer and leads? Thomas, how important is that for you to also, really bolster your sales team?
They love it. I mean, they enjoy spending their time on social media anyway. So the fact that they get paid to do that, I think they're enjoying it.
I love it. Erica, real quick, what about you?
And so for us, we actually have, we encourage our sales staff that this is their business. We are going to help them as if they were their entrepreneurs themselves with their own business. So there are those who are very much want to engage with our social. We still have one person who has authority over our posts, but we encourage them to share our posts, to even create their own content, and we even help educate them if they have questions or want to make their own channel. So we help give them the tools. You don't want them to go too far astray from your business, but we trust them and give them those tools too.
And Freddie, really quickly on that point, it's okay to have them, as long as you're managing it, some of those personal accounts to blend with and help to enhance your company accounts on Facebook and things like that?
As long as I think there's a standard set of rules, absolutely. To have more people to help you and your team, I think it's okay.
Awesome. Well, Erica Hughes, Thomas Corrales, and Freddie Wright, I want to thank you so much for being a part of this today. And by the way, this is on demand. You can tell your friends about it and send them to myhfa.org/webinar, and they can view this webinar plus dozens of others on different subjects that we have produced that are just going to help you with your bottom line. I'm Mark Schumacher. I am the Chief Executive Officer of HFA, proud to lead an incredible team. We are here every day to help you with the solutions you need for your business. All you have to do is join, call, we're here. We hope you have a terrific rest of your week, and we will see you next time.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.